It is election night in Texas. I'm Jason Whiteley. Thanks for being here with us on this special episode of our Y'all-ticks runoff election coverage here tonight. Polls closed across most of the state about 7 or 8 minutes ago here for this crucial runoff election. The Republican nomination for U.S. Senate front and center right now for so many people across the state and a lot of people across the country also watching this. Attorney General Ken Paxton trying to unseat longtime incumbent John Cornyn. This race is really a battle between two factions of the Republican Party of Texas. Paxton represents the MAGA side of the party. Lots of grassroots activists here support him. Cornyn represents the Reagan-Bush Republicans that once dominated this state. We have crews at both of those campaigns tonight. Jobin Puneker is with Paxton in Plano in Collin County. Teresa Woodard is with Cornyn in downtown Austin, where the senator is only holding a media press conference a little later this evening rather than a traditional watch party. And our team of Texas political experts also in studio here with us. Matt Engel next to me here from the Lone Star Project, Andrea Coker from the North Texas Commission, and Bud Kennedy from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram joining us in studio as well. And we expect to start seeing the early numbers. We're already seeing them across some counties right now, but let's go ahead and check in with Jason Wheeler on the big board. Jason, I'm just walking over to you to see what things look like here, man.
You have a shorter walk this time.
I have a much shorter walk, and we're already getting results here. So
we are. Sometimes,
tell us what we're seeing.
Yeah, we're supposed to be getting results at this hour from early voting. Sure. It doesn't always work out like that, so it's almost a surprise when it starts populating like it should. So we're seeing just a fraction of those come in right now. This, of course, is looking at the marquee race that we're watching in these runoffs, which is for U.S. Senate on the GOP side. Ken Paxton versus the incumbent John Cornyn here. You see right here the total number of votes in right now, 237,000 or so. We know that in early voting alone there was something like 850,000 votes. So this is about a quarter of that early vote that we're seeing right now. But you can start to see, you know, at least how things are looking in the early going. Ken Paxton running away with it so far. But look at all this white we have in the map here. A lot has left to be filled in. We're really watching specific places for this race, though. Dallas County, John Cornyn narrowly up in the primary. He took that by 18 percentage points. Really? Dallas County. Tarrant County, he's behind Ken Paxton by a wide margin. He took that county by about 17 percentage points the last time around. And then we go down to Williamson County, just north of Austin there, just north of Travis County. Ken Paxton also opening up a big lead there. I think Cornyn pulled that last time by about 16% over Paxton. So these do not look good if you're John Cornyn. But again, we're very much in the early going here. Still a lot of vote to come in as we go through the evening. And, you know, Cornyn can only hope that he can turn these numbers around as we get more of these totals in.
We've made the mistake early and many times talking about whether someone's going to be, you know, running away with it or not.
You can never read too much into it.
Not this early.
You know, this much of the map left to be filled in. But it is an interesting, a little bit of an interesting trend that we're seeing, especially when you start to see Dallas County, that's 50% of the estimated vote, 57% in Tarrant County. It shortens that runway of how you can make up those, you know, that kind of a discrepancy as you go through the night between, you know, how he's performing versus Paxton.
And so that's the biggest race in the state right here. We have a number of other races. Let's go down the Republican side here. The Republican race for Texas Attorney General, the second biggest race for Republicans in Texas tonight.
Mays Middleton, you've no doubt seen his commercials. He has spent a lot of money running ads, and at least in the very early going again here, about 250,000 votes in so far. He has pulled ahead of Chip Roy there, and you can see the green across the map here. This is a little bit deceiving here. When we put on heat, you can see that these counties very light green. So in some of these, he just has a small lead over Chip Roy, but a lead nonetheless. Still a lot left to be filled in on this as well, though, and you know, no doubt he's doing well down in this area where he is from, Mays Middleton. So we'll watch that as the night goes as well. Railroad Commissioner is another one. They don't really deal with railroads. We still call it that here in Texas. It's all about oil and gas. This is the incumbent here, has some big names behind him, including the governor out campaigning for him, Jim Wright there. In the early going here, though, he is behind Beau French, who a very far-right MAGA candidate who is, you know, a controversial figure here in Texas, and he's pulling ahead in the early going there. Another one that's been watched really closely here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is this one for District 33. This was one of those districts that got carved up.
Sure.
When Republicans went back and redrew the maps, some Democrats were sent fleeing their districts to try to find a district to be in. District 33 has, been formed. It's a Democratic stronghold. It's expected to be. Julie Johnson was from District 32. Colin Allred served in that same district before her. They are facing off in this runoff, and in the early going here, he is ahead by about 9 points. I think he took it by, he was ahead by, I think, 13 when we were in the primary.
Yeah, I think it's 11 points, but this is 2/3 of the vote right here.
Right.
So this is the early vote in Dallas County, and Allred way out front with a lead right
So again, there you start to think about that runway. Where do you make up those votes when that runway is shortening on you pretty quickly?
And let's look at the Democrats running for Attorney General and Lieutenant Governor.
We'll get
as well.
that now. Nathan Johnson having a good night in the very early going here. This is on this side. We got 106,000 votes in. Let me check what my record was on that. Democrats this time in early voting had about 350,000 votes. So this is about less than a third of the vote in, but that is a substantial lead over the former mayor of Galveston, Joe Jaworski there, who has run for office several times, including for this one unsuccessfully in the past. So whoever gets that one will take on whoever gets this one on the Republican side. And an interesting thing, we'll have a new attorney general here in Texas for the first time in a dozen years because Ken Paxton is leaving that office.
Lieutenant Governor's race.
Lieutenant Governor, not close in the early going at all.
This is interesting.
Vicki Goodwin running away with it, the rep there from Travis County. And this is a union leader, maybe not as much name recognition, Marcos Velez here.
But you would think he could get the turnout here too, that maybe he's working the union membership.
Right, and he made it into this runoff. That wasn't by accident either. But again, a lot of vote left to come in tonight. Right. Again, we're still at about less than a third of the early vote in right now.
And then of course 17%. We're watching what happens in Houston tonight. Christian Menifee, Al Green as well.
That one I don't think we do have no. Oh wait, no we don't. There we go. Yeah, we don't have numbers on that one yet. That one hasn't come in just yet. We will see this board really start to populate probably in the next 15 minutes or so as all of these counties start pouring their numbers in to the Secretary of State's office, and we expect to get a much more fulsome picture of where things are headed as we go through the night. But again, that right there is the headline, the surprise just in the very early going. I think a lot of people thought that this one might be a lot tighter, even with that Trump endorsement for Ken Paxton, because it came in late. It was on the second day of early voting. There had already been 1 week ago
tonight.
Yeah, there'd already been 150, 200,000 votes cast by the time the president came out and endorsed Paxton.
Yeah.
You remember there was only about 28,000 votes that separated them in the primary. So we'll see if that endorsement ends up paying off for Paxton tonight. It looks like in the early going, though, he's doing very well.
Yeah, indeed. So let's check in now with Teresa Woodard. She's in Austin tonight with the Cornyn campaign. They're not physically out there yet, but of course they're clearly watching the same numbers we are, Teresa.
Yeah, and Jason, it is quiet from the Cornyn campaign, as you can imagine, at this hour. Of course, we want to stress it is very early, a long way to go when it comes to counting the results that are coming in at this hour. But John Cornyn is foregoing, yet again, a big watch party. So I am just in the hallway of a hotel in Austin, and in a room to the next to me, it's filled with members of the media and members of the national press here as well, to watch John Cornyn come out and address the media after the results become official. He decided not to have a big party. Here's the thing, back in March 3rd, the night of the primary, it was the same setup. He did not have a watch party. He had reporters just in a room, and his campaign sort of hinted, hey, we're going to save the party for runoff night. Well, tonight there is no party. I don't want to read too much into that about what they're expecting, but we will simply say it is quiet here right now. The one thing that nobody quite knows how to predict. Remember, in March, this was really a three-man race. You had Senator John Cornyn, you had Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, and you had Congressman Wesley Hunt. Hunt did not make it to the runoff, but Hunt still drew 293,000 votes on March 3rd. So the question is, what do those voters do? Are they going to swing to John Cornyn, or are they going to swing to Ken Paxton? Are they going to stay home? We don't know exactly what those voters are going to do, and they could clearly make a heavy impact on the results that we are waiting for tonight. As for what John Cornyn did today, we know that he did interviews across the state with media members, including talking to WFA's Jason Whiteley, saying to Jason he feels optimistic and felt good, in his words, about the turnout that he was seeing in places across Texas where he did well in the March primary. We know that the senator had lunch with his family, and now he is just huddled with his team and waiting to see these numbers come in. We will continue to follow things from here in Austin. For now, though, I'm going to send it back to the WFAA studios with Jason Whiteley.
All right, Teresa, thanks for that. We'll be checking in with you a little later. Let's start with just clear reaction to this. And Andrea, I want to start with you. I mean, this doesn't even look close at the early going here.
You very generously said that it wasn't over yet, but I might beg to disagree.
You think so?
I think it was over at 7:01. If Cornyn didn't come out with a huge lead in the Dallas County, Tarrant County, Harris County, then I don't see a way for him to make it out.
And that's what people close to his campaign were telling me too. We've got to have a strong showing in the major metros in order to have a shot here.
Yeah.
And we just have not seen that with the early
He's not
vote
winning
release.
counties he won in March.
Wow.
It feels like the election was over on Tuesday last week.
Matt, what do you think?
Oh, I think she's exactly right. I think this was over as soon as the polls closed and the first results came out. I think Cornyn saw it coming. I think that's
You think
why
so?
That's why he doesn't have a watch party, and that's probably why Trump endorsed. They probably did see this coming. I'm on record. A year and a half ago, I said John Cornyn was a dead senator walking.
You told us that in the studio, I believe.
And it's all come to a head here. There's a sadness to it. He's had a distinguished career. I wish he wouldn't have spent the last year humiliated himself, but he's got 7 months to make good for Texas.
What do you expect to see here? I mean, what's next, Bud? Because the big question was whether the president's endorsement was really going to carry that much weight, and we saw what happened with Thomas Massie in Kentucky, Bill Cassidy in Louisiana, and wow, these numbers here are showing up for the president as well.
Well, you probably saw the setup today for the big no-holds-barred fight on the White House lawn, and what we're coming up on is a big no-holds-barred fight for the U.S. Senate race in Texas. You know, we're starting right away. The Paxton campaign already started bashing Tellerico. You know, it will be a very bitter, angry, ugly campaign by the time it gets to November. Both sides know their candidate has flaws. They're going to try to drive down the other side's vote with as much negative advertising as they can. They're going to try to discourage voters and make them stay home.
And we've already seen that one ad that came out from Ken Paxton against James Tallarico. It was a strong ad. I mean, it's no surprise here.